I'm having to take a break. Today I ended up making seitan and I'm planning to hard boil some eggs for the week. But seitan takes a few steps and I need to kind of take a break and I needed to eat. So I figured that we can have one of our little chit chats and have a meal together. Have you ever had seitan? It's pretty good, but I want to say that it took me a few times for it to taste like anything, right? I am still dubious about the chicken thing. A lot of people say it tastes like chicken. I've never gotten that. The closest that I get is that it tastes like pork, or it has at least the consistency of pork. It doesn't taste ever like meat unless you have things that are meat tasting in there. So unless you've boiled it in broth and unless you have like smoke flavorings or whatever in them. Let's try how this one turned out, actually. Yeah, pork. It tastes like the pork that you would get if you had Chinese food and you had fried rice or something that had pork bits in it, or sweet and sour pork, or something like that. What did I get a fork for this? I don't even know. I'm gonna get a spoon. Hold on right there. Much better. I have rice and a whole bunch of stuff going on, not a fork situation. So I was remembering a story today of my life. And this is a very female specific story, so I don't know if people want to tune out for this one. But I remember when I was younger, and I would have an amazing hard time with my cycle. Amazing hard time. And it would last forever, and I was in a lot of pain to the point where I was doubled over. Like I would be taking time off work. And it was hard to find occupations. I did find them, but it was hard to find places that were okay with the fact that you were going to take a few days off every month because you were just so sick. And for the people out there that can relate, yes, I was sick in a lot of different ways. It wasn't just pain in my abdomen, but it was also this inability to hold down food. And there were lots of other things that happened at that time. So I remember when I was 19, going up to my doctor and saying, you know what the situation is. I've always been complaining about this situation. We put me on birth control because of this situation. We've investigated lots of different things. I want a hysterectomy because something's wrong with the equipment. And I was told, well, you might want to be a mother one day. And I said, no, I am pretty sure that I won't go that route. I know myself that I am not needing the pregnancy experience. If I decide that I want to have children, there are lots of different ways that you can be a parent. You could be with a spouse that has children already. You could adopt. There's lots of different avenues there. And also, I could decide that I don't want to be a parent, but I want to assist people that have children and kind of have exposure to the child rearing that way. And so I talked to my doctor about that, and they didn't want to do a hysterectomy because of that. Well, not because of my reasoning, but because of their reasoning. And then when I was in my 20s, right before I became disabled, I had this conversation again. And the doctor said, the government will not do hysterectomies on a person your age unless there's no other option. Like, they just won't. They won't entertain that idea, I guess. And so I go on my merry way. I become disabled. I'm in a situation where there is no way that I can hold a child. And actually, this is a few years after I become disabled, because we have the official diagnosis of the issues that are in my arms. I will not be able to hold a child for a long time. I will never be able to hold a child. By that point, I had talked to a surgeon, and the surgeon had said there was nothing they could do for me. So all of that had been documented. I talked to my doctor again because I'm still in that situation where every month I'm doubled over. And again, I'm told that I'm too young and I might change my mind. And I'm like, but really? I can't work right now, so I'm on welfare. Now that I have all the things from the surgeon and whatever, I will probably be on disability. I cannot physically hold a child. And so I'm very dubious about my ability to care for a child in any capacity. I cannot financially afford the child, and I cannot give the child what it needs physically. So I also have equipment that I think is wrong. Not that I think I have equipment that I shouldn't have, but that if anybody had equipment that was misfiring and whatever, like my own body was doing, they would get rid of it. Like, if a car caused as much headache as my equipment was, you'd get rid of the car. You wouldn't have a car that didn't drive and you weren't going to drive it around. You wouldn't. But for some reason, the doctor that I was talking to, and I don't know if it was my doctor, maybe it was just government at that point, was saying that they didn't want to do certain surgeries to prevent women from having more children or having children. I don't know. And I don't know why that idea came up to me today. I really hope, because that was years ago now. Oh, I know. It was the question in my brain whether at this point I can have that hysterectomy. Because it's still accurate. I can't physically take care of a child. I don't want to have children. I'm pretty sure financially I would not be able to take care of a child. I'm in a lot better financial space than I was then, but the bar was in hell then. The bar is really low at this point, but yeah, the child would not be growing up affluent by any means. I wonder what that conversation would be like now that I'm middle-aged. But it's kind of interesting if the conversation was to go better at this point, and I was able to get a hysterectomy now, but I'm able to get a hysterectomy when I'm no longer doubled over. Don't get me wrong, I'm in a lot of pain, but I'm able to keep food down. I'm in a lot less pain than I was then, even though I'm still in a lot of pain. And just generally, things have improved quite a bit. But also, I'm close to menopause. So I'm close to the equipment just shutting down anyway. It's interesting to me that throughout all of that, all of the situations of my life where it said that probably it's a worthwhile and valid thing that I'm asking, throughout all of that, now that it almost doesn't matter anymore, it's just an inconvenience, I wonder if they'll do it. But now I'm at the point where it's like, okay, the recuperation from surgery is probably going to bother me more than my actual cycle at this point. And yeah, I kind of don't want to do that now. At that time, it would have been a big relief. The cost-benefit analysis would have been a lot different. Now, I don't know. But I hope that people are having a lot better conversations about those things now. Also, I'm wondering if way back when people had the conversations about endometriosis. For some reason, my brain did not want to tell my mouth to say that right. You can let me know in the comments. I'm not sure of the experience now. And I'm not sure when that conversation started to be more common. This is the thing about getting older, is that when I was having these conversations, a lot has changed. Like, you couldn't get Plan B over the counter. You had to go with your boyfriend to the doctor and talk to the doctor about getting Plan B. A lot has changed. And I'm speaking of my experience in Canada. I have no idea the experience in the States or other places in the world. I don't know. Please let me know of your experience. This was just mine. This isn't the best seitan I've made. I will say that right now. My last batch was magic. One thing I'll say about seitan, and then I'll get off my high horse about seitan, because nobody actually cares probably but me. You can make a lot of seitan very cheaply. And I know that it's, some people think of vegetarian stuff and vegan stuff as phooey. Or like less value or whatever. Or hoity-toity. Or I will say that even though there's a few different steps to making seitan and making it well, when you compare it to marinating and preparing a chicken dish or any meat dish, it's kind of comparable. It's just different. I think there might be one extra step, or there might be some extra considerations or something, but if you're cooking chicken, you have to have the considerations about the cleanliness of the area and not spreading salmonella and whatever as well. And you don't necessarily have the same considerations with creating your seitan. Don't get me wrong, I'm telling you to have safe cooking practices. That never changes. I don't care what you're doing. But you don't have to be as meticulous and fearful about cross-contamination and stuff like that. That's not a thing. I don't know if you can see this, but I messed up making rice and it's all kind of gloopy and weird. I don't know why rice is so hard for me. It's the simplest thing in the world. I can make all the things, but I can't do, not that I can't do, sometimes it turns out really well. But other times it turns out like this, and I'm like, why? I'm pretty sure my mindset was the exact same. Was I talking to it in a way that it didn't like? I don't know. And when it does this, I don't know how to fix it. So if you have the secret, let me know. Help a girl out. I don't know this. It's a long weekend here. And I was talking to people in the States that, or in the US, my family just says the States. I don't know if there's a better way to say it. But I was talking to some of my peers at my job. If they had a day off too, and they said no, it's not a day off, which would make sense because I think this weekend holiday is Victoria Day, and I think that's a part of the monarchy. And I think the US separated from the monarchy early on, whereas we kind of stayed connected. I am not a history person, so let me know if I have things totally wrong there. But I think it's based off of Queen Victoria. I think that's why it's called Victoria Day. Again, I should Google this. I'm not sure if this is right. So yeah, it's a long weekend for me, but I guess it's not for my American viewers. And I'm not sure what it's like the rest of the world either. So let me know. Like, we might have a Victoria Day, but that doesn't necessarily mean that other countries don't have a Victoria Day on a different day. So let me know that too. That's interesting. I know I can Google all this, but I'd rather just hear things from people. What has your experience been like? I just thought of something else for my story. I kind of want to encourage people about advocating for yourself. I know I did a really poor job advocating for myself in my 20s after I became disabled. I give myself grace, though, that I had to advocate for myself in a lot of ways at that time, and I was overwhelmed. And I think as women, or as femme-presenting folks, we have to fight more and advocate for ourselves more and stand up for ourselves more. And I definitely encourage that. Don't let somebody, just because they're in a position of power or a position of some kind of authority or a white coat, to tell you about you or tell you what should or should not be. You might not win. You might advocate for yourself or try to advocate for yourself, and you might come up short. You might not get to the result that you're wanting, but at least you would have stood up for yourself. And I do encourage that. My doctor right now is a man. It's not a person that has the same equipment, and I'm pretty sure actually that they were always a cis man. And so there's a lot of things that they will not have direct experience of. And so perspectives are important here. Even though it's a doctor and you would hope that they've learned lots of different things about female anatomy, still you have to argue. Just like when I went on disability, I had to write out what my day-to-day was like, or have someone write out. And in this situation, I had somebody else write it out because I couldn't write. I had to almost let them know what the worst case scenario was for my day, because them having absolutely no context about me as an individual, if I said some days it's like this, but other days it's like that, I guess they don't know how to take that information. And I guess it's the same for doctors as well. You have to be firm about, hey, this is what I experience. This is my experience right now. And this is why I think this. So I encourage you to have those conversations. It's not easy. It's not easy. And, you might not, the first few times that you try to do that for yourself, or you do that for yourself, it's probably not gonna hit home. It's not gonna have the finesse of somebody that has done this over and over again and is really good at that. I've done this over and over again. I am not good at it either. I get tongue-tied. I end up saying way too many words. I get kind of flustered. My mind gets weird. And when a person in authority tells me an answer to my thing, I'm kind of in a state of overwhelm at that point, that I'm just willing to accept what they say. But at the same time, when I get out of there, that's when it starts registering to me that no, they didn't listen to you, or you should have advocated for yourself more. So what I'm working on is being comfortable telling the person, I'm going to need to think about what you've said, because then I can leave And in a less charged situation, I can really absorb what they've said, process what they've said, and then come back with a rebuttal. So that's what I'm working on. That's what I'm trying to do more. I've been very successful doing that at work. I just need to apply that in other situations where it's like, okay, we've gone over a lot of information. I'm going to need to think about this information and then get back to you. I cannot answer this right now. And if the person, the expert, is not okay with that, then you have another problem, because what happens if you're communicating with somebody that has a processing disorder? What happens if there's other reasons why that can't happen? And when it comes to your health, there's lots of things that could be happening that will give you brain fog and make you confused and not able to answer right away. And then the person that's in the healthcare setting should give you the grace and should be able to comprehend that this is what you might need. Now, there are specific scenarios where they might need your answer right away, but what I'm talking about aren't those scenarios. And I'm privileged in the fact that I live in Canada and healthcare is something that I don't have to worry about my paycheck with. And I understand my privilege there. But there has to be a way that you're able to come from an appointment and digest what was said before giving your final statement. There has to be a way. Or else that puts you in a position of making decisions that might not be accurate for you because you were swayed by the moment, whatever the moment was. I don't know what to say next for that. But yes, I encourage you to advocate for yourself in all the settings. You're your number one. We're getting ready for another round of postal strikes here. Luckily, I don't have a reply pile. I've replied to everybody. And I replied to them last week was the last one. So it's not like somewhere a letter is going to be caught in limbo. Everything is going to be sent off. However, the letter is coming back to me. I don't know what's out there. But if it's like Christmas time, when we had the last round of of strike action. I got Christmas letters in February. So maybe it's like that. But my taxes are done. All my correspondence are up to date. So I guess I'm in the best situation for this. I hope that they come to a resolution quicker than Christmas time, because I think that was like a month or something that there was the strike. Again, I'm going to need somebody to fact check me because I don't know if that's accurate. It felt like a long time though. Maybe that's because I'm a pen pal and I was just sitting on things. I was also thinking about the other day, who needs a shout out? And what I mean is, there are so many people that watch YouTube for so many different ways, or reasons, I should say. Who would benefit from having a "I see you, I hope you're doing well, good job with this"? I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't get that kind of feedback, and I was curious as to if there's someone out there that thinks that kind of thing would be helpful. You know? Let me know if that's something. What does the rest of your day look like? I donated plasma today. I think I'm gonna touch base with my volunteer coordinator to figure out what my volunteer tasks. I'm trying to think what else is happening. I feel like I'm missing something. Not a big thing. This is why I write down everything in my calendar. Because when you read it, you know exactly what's happening or what's going on with your day. Mind you, it's not absolutely everything because we need that kind of wiggle room. We need to be able to have our life. So I'm not quite sure. It looks like it's getting sunny. Right now is so weird where I am. A few days ago, we had weather that was in the 30s, in the late 30s here, Celsius. Now, I think that the highest temperature that we got was, I think, 36 or 38 degrees Celsius. And I think I remember telling somebody that I was working with, I was on a video call with them and they were in the States. I think it was 93 point something that the Googles told me. I think it told me that. That seems a lot. Fahrenheit seems like everything is always boiling. But I don't know Fahrenheit. That's what Google's for. Google's to help me with that. That is where AI can help me in my life, is just to automatically translate. That would be the helpful part of AI. The unhelpful part of AI is the type of AI that tells you that you can put a little bit of glue on your pizza so that your cheese doesn't fall off. Yeah, let's not have that AI in my life. But converting Celsius to Fahrenheit, I don't know if that's an AI thing, but that kind of conversion, absolutely helpful. We'll accept that with open arms because I'm going to get that wrong 100% of the time. The only thing I will not get wrong, though, is minus 40 Celsius is also minus 40 Fahrenheit. That is the intersection. That is the intersection between Celsius and Fahrenheit is at minus 40. That I won't get wrong, but I'll get everything else wrong. Yeah, so I was telling you how weird it's been here. So we had a few days where it was really hot like that. And then yesterday it was snowing. Now it didn't snow for very long. I think it only snowed for like maybe a half hour in the morning. But it was cold. It was almost freezing. And then today Again, I woke up and it was almost freezing. It's almost cold enough overnight for me to turn on the heat a little bit. And maybe I should do that now. Maybe I should go over and just make sure that the heat is set so that the pipes don't freeze. I don't think they will, but better safe than sorry. So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. I think I'm gonna end off here. I pretty much finished my bowl. There's a little bit of rice and stuff left, but all the pretend meat is eaten and whatever. So I think I'm gonna sign off for the day. I hope you had a very tasty thing on your end. And whatever situation that you find yourself in today, I hope you're having the best time. And I will talk to you later.